Okay, I'm going to show you how to use GIMP to resize an image. Now, this can be useful for if you've got a really big image file that you get, which is 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels, or a lot of digital cameras. I mean, they're called like 5 megapixel cameras, that sort of thing. They take images that are really detailed and very large. A lot of times that can be hard to fit on a web page of a given width, and so it helps to be able to shrink those down. The other thing that it can help out with is when you take those really detailed pictures, the physical size of the file is kind of big. In fact, the ones that I'm playing with are, I'll show you here, they're actually 5 megs. I'll bring this up. And so this is a big picture. It takes up a lot of space on my hard drive, which isn't that big of a deal. But if I need to put it on something or into a presentation, for instance, that can make my presentation file really big really quickly. And so I'm going to show you how to resize that to get it down in both physical size, where it takes up less space on the hard drive, and also where pixel-wise it's not as big. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to GIMP, File, Open, and we're going to open this image. And so you can see this has gotten much bigger. It's already scaled. It has expanded the canvas, which is this big open window that we see the picture in, up to the size of the image. Well, actually, this is a quarter of the size. You can see that down here. But that's good, because if it were at the actual size, it'd probably be bigger than my monitor. So we're going to leave it like that for now. So I'm going to go to Image. Now, anything you do under Image, any adjustment you make does it to the entire image, the whole picture that's there. And that'll come up a little bit more later when we start talking about layers. But for now, we're just going to operate under Image. And what we want to do is right down here, it's called Scale Image. Now we can see that the width of this image is 4,000 pixels, thereabouts, and the height is about 3,000 pixels. Now we've got a drop down over here that we can do percentage-wise. So right now it's at 100% of its size. I could cut it down to half the size by putting in 50%. And notice this little chain here. The chain by default is together. Basically that means that these dimensions are locked. So now that I've adjusted that to 50, if I click down here, that automatically updates to 50% as well. Or if I go back to the pixels, you can see that it's adjusted it down now to half. What we actually want to do is we want to bring this down to, let's say, 400 pixels. Make it nice and small. Now I've got 400 as the width. Watch what happens when I click on the height. It automatically updates down to 300. Now if I unclick this, that lets me adjust them individually. I could put this back up to 1,000, and notice it doesn't change the 300. Although if I hit scale on that, then I'll get a weird funhouse mirror result image. I want it to look the way that it does now, so I'm just going to go with back to 400 and lock those in. Usually the lock is there by default. And then finally, when you're ready, click Scale. And now that looks much tinier. Remember, I'm down at 25%, so I'm going to go back up to 100%. This is actually how big my image is on my monitor. And so the final step that I want to do now that I've made the scale is I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save it here. I'm going to give it a different name so I still have my old file too. This one is 400 pixels, so I'm going to save that. And .jpg is a great format. For the most part, it's recognized by a lot of stuff, so it's a good thing to deal with in general until you get used to the more complicated ones. Now I'm going to click Save. This will ask me a few questions. I usually don't mess with the advanced options. You can skip over those, not a big deal. Quality, JPEGs use compression, and so this is asking you how much compression. For the most part, just go with the default setting and you should be great. So I'm going to click Save. So we should be good on that. And then now, in my folder, I've got the image. And so this is my new image. And so much smaller, much easier to use on a website, and you can see the difference in size. The original one was 5 megs. Now this image is only 81 kilobytes. Big difference, especially if you're going to put it in a presentation. So hopefully that was useful for you.